talking about like, yeah, I have to like make people laugh. I realized that, but then yours, what you were like, make people come. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew, but it's like
I like to make people laugh and come. I call it cumedy.
that's
It's my favorite. Welcome back, one and all. Thank you for listening. If you're new here, this is the Totally Wholesome, Not Dirty podcast, and I'm your host, Molly Stewart. We define wholesome a little differently here, and my guests span everywhere from the adult industry to the vanilla side of humanity. If you haven't, please consider subscribing. Word of mouth is what helps this podcast grow. So share with a friend, leave a comment, download an episode, or anything you can to help with the algorithm. I release episodes every Monday, and if you're subscribed, you'll never miss an episode. You don't want to miss out on all the crazy conversations that evolve here. But that's enough from me, and let's get to today's guest. I'm embarrassing myself here. All right, welcome back to the Totally Wholesome, Not Dirty podcast. I am your host, Molly Stewart, and today I have with me David, drumroll.
Oh, a drum roll.
The Roach himself,
Yay.
Previous sex worker Josh Potter.
Previous? Yeah, no, I mean, I gave it up, I guess.
Yeah.
Am I officially the ugliest person that's ever been on this podcast?
No, I'm here every episode.
Yeah, well, I mean, God. That's crazy.
No, it's so cool to actually be able to have you come on here. And I know that this probably sounds any which way, but it's just one of those things that I never thought would happen. You know, people get busy. Like, and I've had so many cancellations on the podcast. People say, "Oh
really?
my God, I want to come on," and then it's like, so I'm really, really.
I'm happy to
that
be
you
here.
made the time for me. I appreciate it.
The cab driver that brought me here was like, "This is far."
I know.
It's not really that far. It didn't seem that far.
Well, also probably coming from LA, nothing really seems that
That's
far
true.
as far
It's
as
really
travel times.
conditioned me into thinking like,
yeah.
This guy was like, "Oh my God," he was like complaining to him, like, "You're the one getting paid."
Like, you're literally getting paid by how far it is and how much time it takes.
He's like, "Oh my," I'm like, "What do you want me to do? Get a different like, don't take me then next time."
Then get someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
People are it's so funny that anytime that there's like road rage in Vegas, because I've lived so many places, and Washington being one of them, and that little stretch, Seattle to Tacoma, that stretch of highway, always under construction, never not under construction. Like a 10-mile trip it's just like hours and hours and hours.
That's terrible.
And I move here, and it's like they're on top of construction. Even with construction, shit moves. There's a rush hour. It's 1 hour. You can get like anywhere in Vegas in like 40 minutes.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's that bad here.
And
I
people
mean,
drive like crazy.
compared to LA, it's like friggin' a dream. Then you go home, like I go to Buffalo, and it's like there are people missing. It's like emptiness. There's like, you're like, where are all the cars?
Oh my God, it was insane because I went back to Michigan in October last year or something like that. And it was a very similar thing because I hadn't gone back in really so long.
Mm-hmm.
And then just moving around, I was like, I used to think that this was like as big as the world.
Yeah,
was.
right? What part of Michigan is it?
It's like West Michigan. So like, I don't know if you know, like Holland to Grand Rapids.
I know Grand
area
Rapids,
stretch.
yeah.
Like that big furniture city area full of tall Dutch people. So.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's
very close to Canada, yeah?
Yeah, eh?
Yeah.
You have basically like the Upper Peninsula, the Yoopers it's basically Canada. I think I spent like many a summer just fishing in Canada.
Ooh.
Well,
yeah,
I didn't
used to
fish,
go.
The family fished.
I used to go to strip clubs in Canada.
I've never been to a strip club in Canada. I've heard great things.
They're pretty wild. I mean, like, it's like you can get booze. It's fully nude or whatever. They have like different rules, and they're all Russians.
Oh, really? Like just all of them?
Yeah, I wonder now. I haven't been allowed in Canada in like over a decade, so I don't know what it's like now. But I don't know if it's changed with the times. Like now, it's like Asians that come over in barrels as opposed to the Russians.
Yeah,
so,
like who are the barrel girls? Where are they coming from?
Sex trafficking. I think it's
How
changed.
much does it cost to see their titties?
Yeah, they were like, we could fit more Asians in these barrels. They're tinier.
They're tiny. Oh my God.
The Russians are too tall.
Oh, jeez. I was something about Asians. I don't know why this just entered my brain cavity, but I was listening to something about how they were like, and I knew this before, but very recently, about binding the feet to make them small.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's always like just freaked me out because for all of you who know, I have ginormous Sasquatch feet. And so I always wanted them to be smaller. And then I think about the idea of like having to, even just some of the shoes that I wear to walk around to
Yeah.
pretend that I'm a woman who knows what she's doing. They hurt so bad, so I can't imagine having to like wrap them in your toes, like curl into like. Ugh.
I don't know if I'm like doing that on accident, binding my feet, but at night lately, my feet feel like they're condensed. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I want to like go in and like open the bones. Isn't that so strange?
No, you would be surprised. So I don't like. I'm not ticklish, but like my feet gross me out, so I don't like other people to touch my feet. But since getting into the industry and like having to be presentable and leave my house and take photos and stuff, like, oh, I have to maintain. Obviously, I haven't done that. I got stressed and I ripped all these ones off. These ones I can't get off. So, but I had to get pedicures and stuff. And the first time that I got like a foot massage, I was like, has this existed my entire life?
Interesting.
Like, get yourself a foot massage.
Yeah.
It's almost as good as coming.
Yeah, I mean, I think I
It might
need
make
to
you
because
come.
it's like, yeah, because I mean, like, I feel like my feet have like it's like something with my shoes or something. I don't know, but it's like it keeps my bones all feel like they're smushed together constantly.
Is it your shoes?
Well, no, I mean, I wear different shoes all the time, so I can't.
Do you spend a lot of time on your feet?
I feel like I do. I walk a lot.
Yeah.
I think like I should probably spend more time on my feet, to be honest. But I don't know. Maybe I'm doing a good job. Maybe I'm exercising more than
Your
I
feet
thought.
are just getting really, really strong, so
Maybe.
they're just sore. They're just rebuilding.
Yeah, it's just so weird. I've also been having like weird circulation issues. I feel like just like this side of my body will go like pins and needles. So I gotta get like a lot of things checked out.
Well, now that you have a doctor, it's
Yeah.
Well, I get the same. I've always had super bad circulation. For some reason, like I can go to just like it can be 100 degrees outside, 60 degrees, doesn't matter. Go into like the frozen food section, and my fingertips will turn yellow, and I can't feel them, and it will sometimes
Do they get
take.
numb?
Yeah.
Yeah, this hand
Like tingly
especially.
numb, and they just look dead. They look like little dead fingertips. Like it's not.
When I was in the hospital, I had an IV, and it was like this whole hand went numb. And yeah, my fingers get like numb like that all the time. It's so strange.
Oh my God.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I think it means that I'm dying. So I wanted to
Ooh,
also
yeah.
let you pick. So I have Motivator Minis.
Mhm.
So this one is called Winterberry.
Winterberry.
Or
what does that mean? Mint?
Lord. See, I don't know what I'm doing. All right. So we also have Bio Jesus from
Bio
Remedy. So if you would like to
Jesus?
try Bio Jesus, since you've already tried Motivators, I can
Sure.
let you keep one of those. We can.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Or we can always let.
I'd love Bio Jesus. That's interesting.
And also because.
Why Bio Jesus?
I was gonna ask for your help and be like, I brought you here to do work, but I think. Oh wait, now I need you to do it.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
This is the work?
Yes.
Opening this?
I just can't. I can't get the rip part off because I'm working with half chewed off nubs and then half acrylic.
I mean, I'm
fingernails.
also chewed off. I have like probably the more chewed off nails out of the two of us. I also don't have a knife on me like I normally do.
I have a knife. I could go grab it. Are knives against YouTube's terms of services?
I don't know. You're very like concerned about.
I'm so afraid. Like I'm
bet.
so afraid.
They're really up your ass, huh?
No, it really is because it's like I talk about this all the time, but it's always that like, oh, you post something that you think is like, oh, that's so vanilla or so this, and you get flagged or you get censored, you get warnings, and you're just like, well, what do I do? And then I'm like, here's like the one thing I do that's not really bad. I feel like according to like society.
But there, you think they're really like keeping their
like,
eye out on you?
Yeah, I feel like that. Maybe they're not. Like maybe no one gives a shit because pretty much no one listens to this. But it's still a paranoia.
Like I said, I said this one time too. I don't know if it was on my podcast or just in conversation, but I feel like you get more because there are people out there actively trying to like report you.
That's also very true.
Whereas like my Instagram, I think at one point I accidentally tweeted. Or not tweeted, but Instagrammed a penis. Not my penis, but like it was like two people f***ing in a stadium.
Oh, really?
Which is like my favorite thing. I love when broadcast capture. They don't do it on the broadcast, but like when they're just f***ing around,
They'll pan
they'll be
around.
like, camera 2 is just like, oh, I look at these people, and then they show it in the truck or something, and
That's
someone puts it on
amazing.
YouTube or something.
Hell yes, as they should.
And so I posted one of them, and someone was like, there's like a penis physically in that thing you posted, that promotional video that you
Oh,
posted.
really? Like you could actually see it?
Yeah, and I didn't even realize that. I just posted it up on my thing. I'm like, I'm coming to Portland or whatever, and
Come get some.
yeah, and there was a penis, and they're like, this is definitely getting taken down. And I don't know if anyone reported it. I think they just have an algorithm or something.
Yeah, I'm always so careful. I even like will sometimes put stuff in my captions. Like I have this one photo of me and my man, and I'm on the bed. We're fully covered, but I'm arched up, and his hand is coming out the side. The camera's on this side. It looks like his fingertip is my nipple. Like it's.
Oh.
And so I literally put in the caption, I'm like, I would like you all to be aware, look very closely, you will see it is in fact a fingertip. It is not a nipple. Please leave me alone.
That's so funny. And I'm
Oh
sure
my
you get
God.
reported for that kind of thing. Man, being in the casino for the last 2 days makes me
Oh my God, I can't go
so
to the
short of
casinos.
breath. Like I have like asthma attack right now.
Oh my God, I don't ever go to the casinos. The funny thing about Vegas is people are always like, oh, like, do you just love going to the strip and like gambling and just like, oh, it just must be so fun. And I'm like, so I don't ever go to the strip unless I'm like showing friends around or meeting someone
Right.
for a show. Like, I could not give two less
Oh, sure.
about the strip.
I mean,
And
if you
all
live
the best
here.
parts of Vegas are off the strip.
I
Like,
bet.
awesome hiking, like even cool like shops and restaurants and stuff that people just never even know about. But it's awful on the strip. I hate it.
It's just like, I know they pump that oxygen in there. And this is my second weekend in a row staying in a casino.
Yeah.
I just feel like I have asthma right now. Like I took like one rip of that and I'm like, I can't breathe at all. I have like, my lungs are like, have no capacity to them.
No, that's yeah. Like I used to actually smoke cigarettes too, and so like coming to Vegas is cool. You smoke it, I used to come for
I
AVN
hate
and
smoking
stuff.
inside. I smoke cigarettes, hate smoking inside. I
But
need to go outside to smoke.
outside is fun, but like during AVN time, it's not because it's January. And so it's like cold as shit, and you're dressed like
Well, that's when I like to
you're dressed like a whore.
Well, yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, my nipples are gonna fall off if I go and smoke outside.
No, I love smoking in the cold. It's when it's hot like this, where I smoke outside, and I'm like, why do I even smoke cigarettes? It makes
Yeah.
me like contemplate quitting, even in LA.
I like vapes. I feel like it definitely doesn't. Like now, smoking joints fucks me up more than just smoking vapes does.
Well, yeah, smoking like a vape, I feel like makes me cough even more, though. I don't know why, but it like
I think it did before I got used to it because it was like
also it has no
different.
end. There's no end to a vape.
Yeah,
A cigarette ends.
that's true. That's true. That's something. It was like a conversation thing too. Like when you do smoke, because it's like, oh, you're going around all the other fucking social rejects who smoke as well. Like, let's learn shit about each other.
Man, bio Jesus, something else. It's harsh.
Savior or foe? We don't really know. Oh my God, I love like some of the names that they come up with for stuff. On the same search, it was like wedding cake and divorce cake, like right next to each other. It was like, which one? Which
Wedding
one's
cake?
better? Which one do you think
Is that a
would be better?
flavor?
Yeah, or strain, whatever. It's whatever they named it.
I've heard of like birthday cake, and that has
I
like
got birthday cake, but wedding cake and divorce cake cracked me up because they were like side by side on the purchase list.
golly divorce cake. There's such a thing as a divorce cake.
I guess maybe the divorce cake is more like an indica. It just makes you kind of like, and then go to sleep.
That'd
And
be
like wedding cake is like, oh, it's fucking happy.
God, I'm coughing all over this thing.
Or maybe it's the reverse.
I don't know. I mean, I would want a happier thing after a divorce. I think something like a sativa that makes you like
Oh yeah,
get up and go. You know?
yeah. I really like so many different stories. It was funny because like I thought for so long because I had like, you ever have like that one bad experience with something and you're like, oh yeah, that's garbage forever. It's not for me.
Yes.
I had one of those with just indica before, and it was stupid. Like I'm still not a weed snob, but then I really didn't know the difference, and I was just thinking, oh, indica, I've not seen that before. I normally smoke hybrids. I smoked the indica, and I just had like the most paranoia ever.
Really?
But I was also going through bad shit at the time, so I think that probably didn't help. But then I just thought, oh, I can't ever smoke indica again, and now I love it. I smoke it
Yeah,
so good.
I don't man, I have no lung capacity today. It's so strange. I'm like sitting here just like, Josh, just
Do you
inhale
want
and
me to get you
speak.
more water?
Oh, I mean,
I can grab
at
you
some
some.
point that would be wonderful.
Hell yeah. All right.
I'll just continue the
Got this.
the
Yeah,
thought.
continue the dive. Summer is right around the corner, and you know what that means. Hot boys summer. That's right. The weather is heating up, and your boys need to be ready. Let's be honest, nobody wants a Sasquatch at a pool party. Luckily, the sponsors of today's show, Manscaped, are here to turn your ick into some give me that dick. Before you strip down, bundle up with the Performance Package 4.0. You'll get the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker nose and ear trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver ball toner, and 2 free gifts: the Performance Boxer briefs and a high-end shed travel bag to hold all your goodies. The Lawnmower 4.0 is not only waterproof, but also features their advanced skin-safe technology in a ceramic blade designed to reduce grooming accidents. The trimmer also has a crazy LED spotlight so you can get a precise shave. April is also Testicular Cancer Awareness Month, and Manscaped has partnered with the Testicular Cancer Society to bring awareness to the most common form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35 with their We Save the Balls initiative. Learn more at manscaped.com and use my code TWND at checkout to get 20% off and free shipping. Whether you want to be in the sun or the daughter this summer, get ready and smell fresh with Manscaped.
Well, I just like I'm so used to I grew up buying weed from just like a guy who didn't like there was no options, there was no strains, there were no flavors. It was just like here's the weed that comes in this bag that you asked for, and that's the end of it. So
They're like, which kind do you have? He's like, this kind.
I never
This is the only
even
kind.
thought to ask him because it would just there's
It
not
was
like
just the weed. You
Yeah.
weren't buying. You weren't buying indica.
I was lucky if it came in a bag. You know what I mean?
You're like, instead of just out of his like pocket. He's
He
like,
gave me weed one time. He gave me an eighth in a DVD case, like loose and rattling around in a DVD case. And so, I mean, like,
oh my god.
I don't know what I could have been smoking different things every time. I could have
Yeah.
been, but so now when I go to the store and they're like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "I don't know, the strongest one."
Yeah.
Basically, I don't know.
Whatever is gonna make me feel high.
Because everyone's
Just
like,
want
"What's
me
your favorite strand?" I'm like, I don't really have a favorite. I mean, I don't know. It's like I cannot tell the difference.
No, I don't have like a favorite strain. I'm not like, I know some people are very sativa, indica, or I can only do
I
hybrid.
honestly can't tell the like an indica doesn't like I can't go, oh, that's an indica, I better not smoke that.
No.
You know what I mean? Like it doesn't
No,
change
it
me
doesn't.
as much.
It doesn't change. Yeah, like it's just a different type of pipe. It's never like a bad.
Yeah, it's not
just
like
oh,
coke versus heroin or something like that where it's
I
like
would.
where it's like
I
you're
hear heroin's fucking fantastic, but don't try it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm just saying like those have drastically different effects on you.
Yeah, for sure.
Whereas
but
indica,
weed is just
yeah,
like-
it's weed is weed.
Weed is like wine drunk versus beer drunk. Like
yeah.
it's not, you know.
Or
what I
even
mean?
just like this type of wine versus this type of wine.
Yeah,
It's like I
exactly.
still can't tell the difference between those
No,
either.
for me, it's more about the brand. Like whoever makes it, that's usually where I know. Like I've had some before. Where it's like, oh, like this is fine, or it will say like the potency is one thing, but it doesn't really hit like it should.
No, yeah, you
like
can
that
tell
type of
when
stuff.
it's like
And
cheap.
it's like they're fine, but that's why I like the motivators have that like, what's it they call it, the honeycomb crumble. So it's like,
Oh yeah.
oh fuck, and it just, you don't even
It's
need
like
to smoke.
the keef or whatever that's
Yeah.
dipped in.
You don't have to smoke that much of it, and it's just a very like steady. But I'm productive as shit on it. Like I'm
Yeah.
talkative. I want to get shit done. I smoke that and make customs and just do whatever. Like edit episodes.
Yeah.
You know, go through review. It's fun. But I feel like definitely I was never productive on alcohol.
No. I mean, I don't know. I drink during shows. That's pretty much the only time I drink is like when because I don't really go out to bars anymore since COVID.
Yeah.
Before COVID, I feel like I went out to bars all the time.
Yeah. Well, bar is kind of like that social adult place. You know what I
Right.
mean? Even if you're not like a heavy drinker, it's a place to go have a beer. Or, like,
Yeah, and like the comedy club is like a bar. So
Yeah.
I go to those and hang out. But like, yeah, I haven't really like gone just and sat at a bar or like met people out at a bar since COVID started. It's
Yeah.
strange. I used to go If I didn't have a show, I'd be like, well, I'm gonna go to the bar or whatever.
Yeah, and now you're just like,
Now I just chill at home.
yeah. Chilling at home has like it's always been my thing. It's
Hmm.
where I started with like webcamming and stuff like that, and it's just always been in my house. And now everybody else is like the same way. Most of the time, even now my friends, it's not like, "Oh, do you want to go out somewhere?" It's like, "Whose house do you want to go to?" And we'll order food from a place that we want
Yeah,
to eat
that's
from
funny.
instead of having to like
Do you ever not go to a person's house because they're so far away compared to like, you're like, well, we could just go to my house where we can
No,
stay,
it's
or do you
just
not
I
like, would you
most
rather go to someone's house or stay at
I
your house?
personally would rather stay home, but I'm also not averse to going to someone's house, especially if I know them. But
Right.
I'm also one of those panic people that I'm kind of like when I don't know them and I'm like, oh, I'm going to their house.
Well, staying home and having people over are different
Yeah,
to
because
me.
you're already in your own zone. So you're already where you feel comfortable. It's why
Right.
I like to have the podcast here because it's hard for me to talk to people, especially in a social setting.
Hmm.
Like even at the comedy club, like oh, it was so much fun. And I've told you guys this already, but oh, highly recommend. Check out Wise Guys in Las Vegas. Check out Josh. It was really fun. It was
It
my
was a
first
fun
comedy
show.
show. So and it was really fun. But even in that situation, like once I'm there, and it's like especially because I went with my girlfriends or whatever, but any of those big social situations I just like I put on my face, I put on my facade, I'm like, let's do this, it's really hard. And you wouldn't
See,
know,
those
but there's
ones
a big
are.
battle going around inside my head.
I'm like very different before the show and then after the show, I would say. Like before the show, it'd be like if you were trying to talk to me, I'd be like, I was in war or something. I'd be like, huh? Like
Yeah, you're just in the zone,
I
you're
wouldn't
zoning
hear
out.
anything. Yeah, and then afterwards, I feel like I'm still going. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, you're riding off of all that energy.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then I feel the same way. It's like I go through like these such long periods of like not being out in those high rush situations, but even something like going to a photo shoot or like working with a new team or photographer, whatever, first like the first time is always very exciting, but it's also nerve wracking as fuck. But then once you're in it and you're riding that high of like the adrenaline rush, then afterwards I'm just like, whoa, I
yeah,
can do this forever. And then I book like 6 more shoots, and then by the end of them I want to like curl up in a ball and kill myself.
yeah.
Like,
It's
it's
weird.
like overload.
It's like there's a definite like high that you're riding where I can just talk to anybody and like even just like today like waking up and like having to I did like a podcast before this one and like getting myself jogging along talking I'm like god your brain's not connecting but like after doing a show it's like I feel like I'm firing on all cylinders I could like
Yeah,
hold
especially if you
court.
have like I feel like if you probably have a good show, for instance. I kind of feel the
Yes.
same way even if I do like a live
Oh my
stream
god if it was a
or
bad show I wouldn't even like talk to anybody.
yeah, exactly. Then
I'd
you're
like
just
go
like, oh,
home.
everything's awful. They didn't appreciate whatever creative thing I was putting out.
But the
I
crash
get those
is
too.
even the crash, even after a good show, it's just like after that, like the crash is so hard.
Yeah, it's like if you take Molly or something, it's like
Yeah,
you're just on that super rush, and the next day you're just like, oh, I'm depleted of all of my serotonin. Like
yeah. It's
it's
like
gone.
last night I had an awesome show, hung out for a little while, and then like just like went to bed. And then today I'm just like, am I dumb? Like, why is my brain so dumb right now? It's
I
just
get that all the time, and then I get so frustrated, especially like when it's been a lot of stuff at once, which has been like this entire year to date.
yeah,
And I'm not used to being that busy. And then it's like even so before the pandemic, it was like it was primarily camming, and then after that it was primarily camming, and then like 4 shoots a month. That was it.
yeah.
That was what I did. And then the pandemic hit, and I did
Are you going
even fucking
overdrive?
less.
Oh, less,
I did
less,
even
less.
less. It was all working from my home. It was all making my own content. It
Mm.
was all this. And now that it's out of the pandemic, I'm like, oh my God, I have so much work to do, and there's so many people to meet, and there's so many things to do. And then it's like a super overload.
Yeah,
So I go
no,
through
I've
these periods
experienced
of
that
just
too.
like, am I actually R worded? Am I
Yeah,
actually like what is happening? And then it's like if you get a couple days off and then I feel like completely recharged again. But man,
exactly.
but it's like
Sometimes
what
the
do you take
days
the
off
time?
make me feel worse. Like I'll get off the road and I'm like, okay, I have like 3 days to chill. And then by like the third day, I'm like, why do I feel worse than I did when I got here? It's just because it's like settling in finally.
Yeah, because then you're settling back to like the norm, but
Yeah.
like and you're like coming off of that high, so then you're trying to bring yourself back up after the come down, and by that point your brain is like, oh, I want that again. It's like drugs.
Yeah.
Entertaining is like drugs.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my God.
Well, yeah.
Entertainment is drugs.
No,
Because it
it's a hundred
is.
percent
When you're entertaining an
chase.
audience in whatever way that is, I feel like
Yeah.
YouTube, Twitch streaming, comedy,
Well, if you get a high
crying,
from
whatever.
it, for sure.
Yeah, especially like if you are super into it and you're like that type of creative person that like wants to make people laugh or come or whatever it is,
Yeah.
then it's like for you that energy that other people give you essentially is like so amazing.
God,
But
that's so weird. I never even thought about like, yeah, I have to like make people laugh. I realized that, but then yours, what you were like, make people come. I'm like, that's crazy.
yeah,
Didn't even think that about that.
yeah.
I mean, I obviously I knew, but it's
I
like,
like to make people laugh and come. I call it cumedy.
that's
It's my favorite. Oh my god, it's so funny. So I actually just filmed this scene with Alex Cole, which will be coming out eventually. Um, and we were just kind of like vibing and we were making content together. So it was all amateur. It wasn't a set there. So we were just chilling and having fun. And we kept like dropping brand names of stuff as we were filming because she's
mm,
like, well, what's this? Because I gave her some liquid IV and I'm like, it's liquid IV.
like there's
And we
commercials.
get like probably like 40 minutes in and I was like, we're stoned. And I was like, had this realization. I was like, I'm gonna have to go back through this and bleep out all of these brand names. She's like, we should just start calling it lemonade. And I was like, you know what would be funny is if I went back and I just recorded lemonade. And I used that to censor every brand name. So that's what I spent my yesterday
I
doing.
thought you were just gonna put the commercials out there for the brands
Nope,
and then
because you
edit
can't.
everything else out.
So with pornography, especially when I make content that, for instance, other companies sell, like I just had a stroker toy come out.
Mm.
So when they host content, can't have anything branded in it, like no
Oh, I
songs,
see,
none
I
of that
see, I
kind of
see.
stuff, because nobody wants to be associated with that. So in my head, I was like, you know, it'd be funny. Someone's fucking just jerking off, and all of a sudden, lemonade, and that and that makes me so happy.
Yeah, that's fun.
I love edging people. Oh fuck, cracks me up. I just want to ruin boners, but also like bring you to fruition, climax,
Yeah,
whatever.
that's exactly. You're like, you want to ruin them and then bring them back across the goal
Yeah, I'm
line.
like, don't worry, we'll get there in the end. Just stick
That's
with
so
me.
funny.
Like,
The idea of just throwing in a earworm like that or whatever, just to like fucking. They're
I
like,
do,
oh god, come on.
I do that shit all the time. I have like some fans that I like. I really know them by now.
Mm,
So when they order custom content, I know that I can fuck with them,
that's
and I
funny.
know what will fuck with them. Like
Oh god,
I had one guy, for instance, order
what
something,
power?
and there was a point in it which I had just been kind of like fucking along with it, you know, until then, just like making jabs. And he messages me afterwards because there's a part in the video where I say, I look at the camera, I stop what I'm doing, I'm like, stop laughing. This is fucking serious. I'm masturbating. And he messages me after, he's like, I need you to know that I was laughing when you
Oh
told me
my
to stop
god,
laughing. He's like, how do you do this? I'm like, I just know people.
that's crazy.
It's fun. I think it's much more fun because it's like, of course I make the content that's like all the girl stuff, all the different shit that I do, and just try
Hmm.
to make it really professional and really porny. But it's like I also like to be corny as well. So
Yeah.
it's like that's why it is porny, because it's like I feel like porn, especially the porn that people like make fun of for like the bad acting and stuff. I think that's what's funny about porn.
Oh
And I
sure.
think it should be fun. You should have fun with it.
I
So
like
it's
when it's
like
like
have a variety.
embraced like that. Yeah, like when it's like over the top, like even with like porn parodies. Like I'll never watched a porn parody
Oh
for
my
like
god.
to jerk off
I
to, but
made
I
one.
would watch all of them to like see how the jokes and stuff. You know, which one?
Stepsisters. It was
Oh,
modeled after
oh,
Step Brothers with Will
that's so
Ferrell.
funny. Well, that makes so much
Oh
sense.
yeah, and I made it with like my best friend in the world, and it was so fun. I like wrote the whole thing. It was the first thing that I like hired a crew for, and I was like, I'm doing it. It got nominated for like an AVN Best Featurette, which I was like, that's fucking cool. I knew it was gonna win, but it was
That's
cool
cool.
that I like have it up there. I was like, that's my one thing.
I watched a Brady Bunch one.
Oh fuck yeah.
It was like an older one, like I think James Dean was in it, but I don't remember who else was in it. But it was like super old, like I want to say 90s maybe, or even
Yeah.
like early 2000s. And you could tell it was a different period of time because like you would think the Brady Bunch one, they would be fucking each other. Like
Yeah.
that would be the whole thing.
Yeah. They're all
'Cause it's like
because they're all step siblings,
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
like the thing that's out there now.
Right. So I watch it. They don't fuck each other at all. At the very end, the final scene is like Greg and Marsha or whoever plays them fuck. And you're like, you've been really like leaving a
Like
lot
a
of
lot
meat
on
on
the
the
table.
bone here.
Yeah. So I have a question then. So pretty much everyone that I have on this is either like a small business owner or
Hmm.
does porn. Now, as a
What are their
former sex
businesses
worker,
usually?
so I had my friend on here. She is an artist and she
Oh, I
runs
see.
the
Just like
clothing. Yeah, the clothing girl. Yeah, a workshop. So
I see.
follow her, buy her stuff. But so I had her on here. I had, like I said, I had Canovative on here to talk about, all of their production
Right.
and stuff,
Okay.
which was
Yeah.
cool. And then like sometimes like photographers like about their work and stuff. But as a consumer of porn,
Yeah.
I'm curious because I've had this conversation with other performers because we wonder, right?
Hmm.
Because we've been in so many different types of scenes and just like weird ass scenarios, and the weirdest one is always like the step sibling, step parent thing.
Right.
As a consumer of porn, is this something that you search for, or is this something that is recommended to you by the algorithm?
I've just noticed that it's just so prevalent now that it's like doesn't even faze me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just there.
Like you don't even think about the fact that it's step
No,
people. You just
most
think
of the
about the
time I
fucking.
try to find like a duo that I want to see. Do you know what I mean? Like two girls that I like know from separate works that I'm like, oh, they work together, and
Mm-hmm.
then it happens to be, the step sibling thing,
Yeah,
or um like the stepdaughter thing, like MILF and stepdaughter thing or whatever. You
yeah.
don't even like
That's always weird. I've done a couple of those.
just like age difference like automatically equates to that now, it seems. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
instead of them just being like hot older women,
Right.
like those don't exist. They just have to be stepmoms.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
I feel like
And it
that's
just
kind
gets
of a
thrown in
category that they
there.
get thrown into. It's like after you're a certain age. It's one of the reasons that I do not want to really shoot mainstream anymore. I guess this is one of the things it boils down to. I know that I'm now at the age
You'd have
that
to
I'm
be the
too
MILF.
old to be like the young, hot
I don't know if that's
ham.
true.
No, no, no. I've been starting getting tagged in MILF fan pages.
That's hilarious.
And I'm like, motherfucker.
Yeah, what's the
30
like
just happened, damn it.
yeah,
I
what's
do
the
the
turning point?
Botox in the forehead. Leave me alone.
I'm trying to think of
I don't want to be a stepmom. Like,
I'm trying to think of an actress that I've seen do both, the daughter and the mother. Like play both.
oh my god, I don't even.
Who could be one that I can't even think? I can't think of one. Usually they're already in one
Yeah,
phylum,
like
but
in a
it's gonna
role.
happen that way, right?
Like for
Like
instance, I believe
Katie
Alexis
Morgan,
Foxmore
maybe?
started when she was older, so she started more in a
Yeah,
milfy role already.
right.
And I'm trying to think of like what maybe.
Like
How long has Chrissy Lynn been in? Because she played like almost a stepmom role. Like
she's
she was
always
friends
been the
with my
mom.
mom. She was friends with my mom in
Oh,
the
I
scene.
see.
So it was like she was almost that type of role. But she's been in for quite a
I
while.
feel like
So I'm
she's
sure
been
she
a
must
mom
have.
for most of it, though.
Has she?
Well, in the role, like in terms of my lifetime, but
Yeah,
like
that's true.
I'm saying, like
Like
in
when you
my
started watching them, basically.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm saying like when I started, like I guess Katie Morgan would be
Katie
one.
Morgan.
She was like a younger person when I first started coming across porn, and now she like plays a MILF or whatever.
I just feel like I want to skip the MILF phase, and I've talked about this on
Go
Cam.
straight to
Go
gilf.
straight to cougar.
Oh,
And
there's a
I'm
difference.
just gonna have fun with it. And it's like once I reach 40, right? It's just all butt plugs. It's all animal tail butt plugs, like different cat things. I'll just turn
I
into
see.
like the Carol Baskin
So you mean
of
literal
porn.
cougar, like
Yeah.
the cat?
And I
I was
just
gonna
make
say,
it
is there a
weird because at that
difference?
point, like I'm 40. Like who really cares if my tits and stuff still look good? They'll still jerk off to it, and it'll just
Yeah,
be weird. And it's more confusion boners, and that will give me like a lot of
sure.
satisfaction in my old harrowing
I
age.
thought you were gonna say straight to gilf,
Nah, nah, that's
grandma
waiting until
level.
the 60s,
Yeah,
which I'm still gonna do. So I
hell
think once
yeah.
I start actually graying, I'm just gonna like dye it all gray and just kind of roll with it and
Yeah,
just
why
keep it
not?
long because I always hated. I didn't understand. You get to like a certain age, and I would watch these women like growing up, and like once you reach a certain age and level of grayness, you just cut off your hair. And I'm like, you don't have to do that. Like it's so pretty.
No, yeah, the shut it down hair.
Like
Yeah,
I think it's hot. Like when guys have like salt and pepper and like they get gray and stuff like that. Like I think gray hair is hot.
you're talking about like that old lady's short haircut,
Yeah, like the
the
not
like
even quite the
mullet.
Karen, but it's like a weird poofy. Like it could have been like straight or curly, and it just is a poof now, like on top of your head,
Oh,
like a
I see
little
what you're
cloud on
saying.
your
Yeah.
head, or like even like those really short, like well, kind of Karen
Hmm.
bob. Sorry,
Is
David.
that why? Like, what was the whole stereotype of like old women having blue hair? Was it blue because
Probably because of what they were
they were trying
dyeing it
to
with at
dye
the
it
time.
because they didn't want it
Probably.
to be gray?
I don't know what it is. Or maybe it's that they like wanted it to be more even gray overall, but whatever the solution was that they had at the time wasn't maybe what it is now. Because you don't really see a lot of blue-haired
Now
old
all the
ladies anymore unless
blue-haired,
they're actually dyeing their hair blue.
yeah, now all the blue-haired people are like the wokesters, the
Oh yeah.
kids, but
Yep. I've known many.
yeah, me too.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I'm not woke enough to hang out with a lot of people because it's not even that like I have anything against whatever it is, it's that I'm not informed enough to like be
Oh, well, I
involved in the
mean,
conversations that they always want to have
some
because
of
I'm just
them
like, "Oh, I don't know
you'll
about that,"
step
or I say something
into,
ignorant. I do
yeah,
that here all the
exactly.
time, and then I'm like, it's not like I said. What did it? I said it on another episode. I said a hooker. I was dressed like a hooker, and apparently, I found out very recently that is not the term that you're supposed to use. And
What
I
is
said it
the
at the time that I
term?
was like, it's not meant in a way that's like derogatory. I think hooker is a cool word, and I just define myself as a hooker when I go dressed out really hot. And
That's
it's not
Was it like
like,
a sex worker
yeah, a sex
shaming thing?
worker is apparently what you're supposed to call them is
Mm,
a sex worker. And it's like that's cool, but then people also call me a sex worker and that's not the line of work that I do.
right.
And so for me, it's not like, "Oh, you dirty hooker." It's that like, "Oh yeah, I was dressed like a hooker." Like
Yeah.
it's
Can
not
you say
coming from a place of
prostitute? I mean, is it?
I don't know. That's the thing. Is like I don't even know all the terminology. So then it's like I'm already trying to censor myself
And
as
also,
it is,
I
and then
bet if you talk to a hooker, she doesn't give a shit if you call her a hooker.
she's like, I don't care what you call me as long as I get paid. That's
Yeah,
what I fucking
exactly.
say all the time. I'm like, I'm making content. They're like, what are your do's and don'ts? Like, is it okay if I call you this and this? I'm like, don't care what you call me as long as I get paid. So it's like,
Yeah,
it
I can't
doesn't bother
imagine
me.
there's like a hooker advocacy group out there of like a
I
group,
think there is
like
because
a
there's an advocacy
union.
group for everything.
But again, it's like misguided youth. It's
Yeah.
not even really anyone in the industry, probably. It's just somebody who's like taking up arms for
No,
them.
there's definitely that in the industry as well, but I mean, I just don't really I just don't get involved in it and like I don't even read Twitter anymore because it's all just it's it's just like everybody's fucking angry about something. It's why
Oh,
I
dude,
barely
it's
read
the
social media at
worst.
all. I like do my posts and I log off because it's just so fucking toxic all the time and there's always that kind of shit. So I just stay in my bubble and I'm like, I'm sorry if I say things that offend you, but also you can obviously tell that I'm not intentionally trying to offend you. So suck my dick.
Yeah.
So it's I just, I'm already ostracized in a way, so I'm kind of like,
Yeah,
oh,
what's gonna
ostracize me more.
yeah, what's gonna really happen, right?
Yeah, like
Like
what are you
you're
gonna
gonna make it
cancel?
so
You're gonna cancel me? Oh, people won't jerk off to
I
my
can't
posts
get a
anymore.
real job that I'll never want to get anyways, you know?
Oh no. Like
Yeah.
I still can't get a real job.
That's what somebody was
Imagine
like,
if I went and tried now. What's this decade of work history
yeah,
gap?
exactly. A big
I was
lo-
filling my holes and getting paid, thank you. Like they don't take too kindly to it. So it's like and honestly, when I look at how miserable some people are and the people that take the time to report me for doing things that don't have anything to do with them, I'm like, if I worked a real job, maybe I'd be just as miserable as you.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like.
That's why they're so miserable.
Yeah.
That's like somebody I told somebody I was like a stunt dick for somebody's OnlyFans, and they're like, "Well, what if that gets out there?" I'm like, "Good. That would only help
People
me."
come to my show because they're like, I saw your penis.
Yeah, that would like only help my life if that came out,
Yeah,
you know? And they're
absolutely.
like, "Well, oh, I guess, yeah." It's like, "Well, yeah, you would get fired from your job.
Yeah, but
I
it's
don't
like,
have a job.
but yeah, I say that all the time. It's like, I don't have a job, I have a career.
I'm my own boss." Yeah, it's like I can't
I'm
fire
sorry, I
myself.
don't have a job, I have a business.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a businesswoman. I'm an accountant.
Yeah. I wish I was an accountant.
Fuck, I have to have an accountant because I don't understand.
I have to have one
Fucking
too now, and
taxes
I
are stupid.
also still don't
Payroll
understand. I'm
and
so
fucking
fucked.
there's just so much that I don't understand. That's why I'm like, I'm happy that I finally reached a point
I might get
past
arrested
my
in like 2 weeks.
You might. I think my guy's doing a good job, but I've like reached that point of passing my perfectionism to realize that I don't need to know how to do everything and do it all myself, and that there are people who are highly educated on things.
Oh, you were just
So that
doing
you
your
can
own
pay them.
taxes?
I was thinking like I had to be so on top of this or that, or keep it out of this, or do
Oh,
this, and
Jesus.
and I'm one of those people that I like to do everything myself. Like it took me so much willpower to hand over the editing to David. Thank you, David. I love you so much. Thank you for dealing with me. Like for a while I was going through, he would make clips for the show and stuff, which super appreciate. And I was in therapy at the time, and I was talking to my therapist about how it's so nice that he does this, and it creates so much less work for me. She's like, shouldn't it create like no work for you? I'm like, no, well, I take his clips and then I cut them down, or I cut out bits that I think would be good, and then I reformat them for Instagram, and then I put text over them. I do this, or I'll cut totally different clips that he missed from the episode. She's like, but what would happen if you just like posted the clips that he made? I was like, well, the world might explode. So
Yeah, I don't want to do any. I've always in my podcast, I've always like never wanted to deal with any of that. I don't want to pick the clips. I'll pick from clips. I'll do that, but it's like I don't ask me for timestamps. Don't ask me for.
no. And
I don't
I'm
remember
telling you,
anything that I say.
That is good because I've reached that point now, and that's why the podcast is so much more fun for me now because I'm not overanalyzing it. When I was sitting there just stifling there and editing each episode by myself and just picking it apart as I went. Like some of them I didn't even release because I was just like, it's too garbage, and I would just delete it. And
Oh
like,
man.
like
Yeah, that's no fun. As I hit the microphone now, I did it too.
I had rage issues, so I'm working on them. So, if it's not
Self-rage
perfect,
or
yeah. If it's not perfect the first time, in the bin. Like throw
That's
it away.
hilarious.
Like it's worthless. You can glean nothing from this. But now, if I don't like something, I still hold on to it because I'm like, well, maybe I'll reach a point where I do like it, and I'm like, oh, it was just the headspace at the time. So.
I just do things and then I don't remember them at all, and I go, well, here you go.
What is this?
Yeah.
My best.
I don't know. People are like, oh, so many people will be like, oh, you said this, you said that. And I'm like, I don't remember what I have to go back and watch too. I'm like, wait, what did I say? What am I
do
talking
that all
about?
the time because I do review the episodes, especially because since I do so predominantly work with performers,
Mm-hmm.
if anything is said that I think might be something they want to admit, then I can point it out to them and be like, can I leave this in for you or not?
Yeah.
Because I like to do that just because I know privacy issues are such a big deal with this industry.
So do you notice that they're closed off or there's things that they don't want to
I
admit?
feel like a lot of people at this point are pretty good at censoring themselves, but sometimes if they smoke weed, then they do get a little more deep.
But
and
what
personal
could
into
they
their own brain.
possibly say that like
Some
not that you have
people
to give me
aren't
an
public,
example.
for instance, about their relationship.
Oh, I
and
see, I
things
see, I
like
see.
that, or like if they have kids, or sometimes even if people know that they have a partner, they'll say their name or something,
Oh, I
and they're
see.
like, "Oh, I don't want their name said," and it's like, "Well, cool." That at that point, then
Yeah,
maybe we
that's
can go in and
interesting.
bleep
I
it
never
out.
even thought about
Yeah.
that.
So I do review the episodes, but what's funny about that is like when you're sitting here having a conversation, you're just like in the conversation. So of course you retain stuff from it because it pushes the conversation forward.
Sure.
That's how talking to people works.
Yeah.
But when you go through and you actually listen to it again or even see clips, you're like, oh my God, I forgot, that like I remember it now, obviously, but at the time I didn't remember it. So it's like I get to kind of get even more information out of the conversation listening to it and reviewing it again, which then helps me retain better information about people as well.
Yeah, I'm
so
like
scatterbrained,
I'm an
so-
auditory learner.
Yeah.
So like when I review my sets so I can get better on stage, I have to listen to them. I can't like read jokes. Do you know what I mean? So I listen to them that way. I don't even need to watch them. It's just hearing the differences. And when it comes to my podcast, like I guess maybe I should start doing that because I think about like radio, and in radio they make you listen to yourself every day. Like you have to go like you could talk for 30 seconds and they're like, oh, and they'll pick apart every word. They'll be like, why'd you say this here? Why'd you say this here? And you're like, well, I don't know, because it's like I have 30 seconds to talk. How many different ways could I have done this? But then you find different ways to do it because they fucking yell at you or whatever.
No, for sure. And it's funny because like going through and reviewing them, like it's fun because I can even watch in a way how I've kind of progressed in how I talk to people. Or,
Well, yeah, you remember
or
like,
anything,
don't
'cause
do
I'm
this,
like-
do this instead or
It was
whatever.
one of
Yeah.
those things. This was almost like therapy for me in a way because it was like, oh, here's something I'm super bad at. I'm gonna force myself to do it publicly in front of the
What are you
world.
bad at, talking?
At talking to people in person.
Well, I mean, there's a difference between talking to people in person and interviewing them or
Yeah,
having
for
like
sure.
an on-air conversation, I guess.
Well, also, I feel like when I started it, I was under this illusion that it had to be an interview, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of the people that I did have on, I knew a lot about. And when it came down to it and the actual conversations that we started having, then I was like, it's so much better to start off with a simple work question, smoke a joint, and see where their brain goes.
Yeah.
Because half these will start off with like, what's the weirdest video that you've ever had to make, or what did progress you into the industry, and from there, we end up talking about things that have little to nothing to do with work, but then end up kind of circling back to that point as well. And just
Have you
the
only had
depth that some people have, I think, is what's more interesting to people who listen than like, a big laundry list of all the things that they've accomplished in the industry that anyone can Google.
have you only had people on that you are friends with, or have you had
Nope.
like other?
It definitely started off that way, which I think was good because it was already people that I was fairly comfortable with, or at least semi-familiar with. But now I've reached a point where it's like, well, I will reach out to people that I don't know,
Who
and I'll
are
be
your like
like, but
dream guests?
I would like to. Let's see. I just had Alexis Fox, which was amazing. But before that, I had Phoenix Marie, who I'd been trying to get on for a very long time. I was very excited that she came. So if you guys have not checked out that episode,
What made you excited or like want to have her in the first? Like, was she an inspiration or?
I just think that she's so cool. Like, she does not give a fuck what anyone thinks. She's going to do exactly what she wants to do when she wants to do it. And talking to her on the podcast just confirmed that even more. And I had never worked with her before. But I had seen her at parties. We'd had brief conversations here and there. But to me, just like her presence was just Phoenix enters a room and everyone knows. It's just she has this commanding aura, whatever it is about her, and she's just strong. She's like, I've been fit, I've been fluffy, I've been everything in between. I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm here to have whatever kind of sex I want to have, and I'm going
Yeah,
to show people whatever I want to do. And she's just talked about the way that she's even like controlled things on set. Like, this is what the scene was supposed to be, but I took control of it and I decided I wanted it to be this. She put toothpaste in her butthole. Like, the woman is just
Jesus.
amazing. Crazy.
What
Like,
was
it's
that
wild.
for?
So she did a gaping scene, uh, and they took like the tricolor toothpaste and squirted the whole tube in her butthole.
Oh my
And
God, is
then
that not
and
the
then the
most
girls,
painful?
and no, she said it didn't hurt at
Or
all.
it'd feel like cooling,
The
probably.
comment, I was like, comment below, does it burn? Because that was the question, and she said no, it did not. So, but then the other girls in the scene took toothbrushes, took the toothpaste and brushed their teeth.
Wild.
Yeah.
Whoever thought of that, pretty good. Good,
Yeah.
good on you. You're an
She
artist.
said that she said that the director basically came up with it while he was brushing his teeth one morning and was like, and
That
she's like, "Oh, you're a pervert. I fuck with you."
see those kinds of that's like performance art. There's nothing about that that like turns me on,
No, we
but
just want to
it's
see
like
it,
yeah, exactly.
and it's so cool. But I mean, I could think of many people that I would love to have on here, but to me, honestly, I also don't really want to spend time pursuing people to come on. I would rather, reach out, and it's like, if you want to come on, you'll make the time to
Sure,
come on. And I would rather that be the instance because, I don't want to be put in a spot where it feels like I'm chasing someone's time,
sure,
because then I feel like during this episode it will feel like that. Do you know what I'm saying? Instead
sure.
of instead of just like, oh, I actually want to be here,
Right.
and that type of stuff. So it's like I put the feelers out, but that's why I even have returning guests all the time, because I think it's kind of fun, especially with someone who's come on and talked a lot about work. Then, for instance, have Alex Cole and Kay Carter, and we come back and we just have insane conversations about
Yeah.
whatever, because we've become close because of things like this
Right.
podcast and being able to talk to each other
They're
more.
more comfortable
Yeah, and then it
after.
just becomes like, what is this? I don't know, but it's entertaining. Like, you know, it's been a really really fun
Yeah, I was
experience.
curious, like if there's been any, if there's like a goal to do porn people on the podcast, and then if you ever found like that you just hit a wall where you're like, I don't want to talk about this anymore or whatever, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, I think for me is kind of like, I would love to have a huge variety of people on, because for me, the people that I want to talk to are people that I feel like add something, not like to the vocabulary, but to my world experience. Because like for you, for instance, like you're a comedian. I think that is so freaking cool, and I actually want to talk more about that.
sure,
I know we got
whatever you
off
want.
on me. Fuck, sorry. Um, but I think it's just fascinating. Like even different photographers, or even people like Canivative, or my friend who runs a small business that I know virtually nothing about, but I now do because of her opening my eyes to the different things that she has to deal with. And I think that it's more for me about trying to, through whatever variety of people want to come talk to me, is just kind of broadening my view of people in general, because I spent so long basically in a little cam box with an abusive partner. And so now I'm kind of like at adulthood where I feel like I kind of have my shit together enough to be like, all right, I know who I am enough to like not compromise my own, really feelings on things, but be open to new ideas and new perspectives from people that I've, never even considered talking to before, or
Mm,
like who I never maybe thought I would even have an interest in either that person or their work or whatever it is. And I think that if more people just kind of expanded their list of, just people in different ways of life, then people would be a lot more accepting, of people
sure.
overall, because everybody seems to fucking hate each other right now. And it makes me sad because I just want to
No,
meet
me
people and
too.
talk about stuff.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I look at this whole thing as like performing, even though like right now it's just like obviously when I go on someone else's show or something like that, I kind of take the vibe of whatever's going on. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I looked at like I did radio for like my whole life, and it was always like a show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're putting on a show. So when I podcast, I often feel as if, and sometimes it takes away from like the real moments. You know?
Yeah. That's really cool you started there. I remember we went on a field trip once when I was a kid. To a radio station, and I thought it was like the coolest fucking thing. I've always like wanted to do entertainment stuff when I was a kid, and I guess like, hey, you don't always pick the job. Sometimes the job picks you.
That's funny.
you
Yeah,
know,
you're like, oh, I
I'm
want to be on the
entertaining
radio,
people
and you're
in
like,
one way or another.
well,
But that's why for me, this is more
I'm
like,
gonna be
this is
more
my
visual
chill vibe,
medium.
because I feel like I'm always performing. Like
Oh,
whether I'm
sure.
going on someone else's podcast, whether it's making content or doing a live stream or whatever, and it's like most people have never heard much actually about my life that either wasn't fabricated by my ex-husband or basically told to preserve little people who were there at the time, or any of these things. And so to now be able to talk a little bit more openly just about how I see the world and how other performers see the world is really cool, because I feel like so often people, obviously you jerk off to people and that's cool. It pays our bills. Thank you. Keep doing it. But it's like, people have a lot of hatred because it's like you don't separate the person from the performer.
Right.
And there is such a separation. And if there's not, and I've also been that person where I'm all the performer, you're just so miserable.
Oh,
So
sure.
it's like you need to accept that people who are in any form of entertainment
Yes.
have their own personal shit that they don't share with you, because that's not entertainment. That's you. That's your life. That's everything inside of your brain, and it's hard in there.
Yeah. Well, I
No
mean,
matter who you
there's
are.
so many, like, I've gotten to know a bunch of adult performers who I'm become friends with, and I enjoy hanging out. But there are ones that
Not me
I
though. I'm paying him to be here.
not, but there are the ones that I like enjoy consuming. I don't want to meet
Yeah.
because it's like finding out the man behind the curtain. You know what I mean? Like, and some of them could very well be pleasant and wonderful and like fun to hang out with or whatever, but then it would take away from me like wanting to jerk off to them. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like it's not like a don't meet your heroes thing, but it kind of is, I guess.
Yeah.
I never even like really thought about it. It's like, yeah, I just like there are like a handful that I go like I don't want to see them at a party.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's the funny thing. Like, I definitely do not consume porn anymore, especially like
Right.
mainstream porn. Like, I know or know of or closely know all these people. And so for me, I'm like, I'm not going to jill off to you. Like, I'm not
Well,
gonna.
you know what's different though?
I just come up with shit in my head. Like, I make up scenarios. I'm like, oh, it's cooler in here. And I can make up people that don't really exist.
Well, see, what's like this is so weird. I've never even like articulated this. Like, so when it comes to like actresses like that, like there's like a 4 or 5 I could think of where I'd be like, I don't want to meet them at a party or whatever. Or
Yeah.
like, I just want them to live in my porn, and then I'm sure they're lovely people or whatever, but it would like ruin my porn experience. But when it comes to like OnlyFans, I always prefer when it's like a person I know from real life who's like, by the way, I have an OnlyFans. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I feel
Like the
like.
bartender that lives like
Plus, I feel like OnlyFans
in your building
is
or
so
whatever.
much different. Like, I know such a wide variety of creators on OnlyFans, some who are non-nude. And so
Sure.
there's like also so many different varieties. Like some people only sell feet pics, some people only do titties, like some people do only
Right.
nude. And there's like this whole different progression down to like, I smash stuff with my feet and pretend I'm a giant. Like I
That's
do
the
that.
thing, yeah.
I do that too. My laundry is done. I'm at home. This is really specific fetish, so if
This
you
is
are
the
into
giantess
if
thing,
you are
right?
into giant stuff, I do that, and I have massive feet that I can pretend to squish you with. Onlyfans.com slash
That's
naked
got to be
Barbie
like
doll.
a lucrative one for you,
Yeah, I
right? I
have
mean,
a
you're very
little
tall.
and I know he listens to this, so he'll be very happy that I mentioned him. Hello, Shane.
Whoa,
He is my little
Shane.
tiny man. So I
Oh.
have fun with Shane. I get to like pick him up and like throw him down on the ground and squish him and
What are
tell
the
him how
origins of
pathetic
the
he
of
is.
this? Is it the pathetic part or is it the tall part?
Well, it's not. I think for him, it's more about like he's super into the fact that I've gotten really muscular. So he always wants me to like flex for him and tell him how insignificant he is and how he'll never be as strong as me
I
and
love
that
those
he
ones.
can't escape me because I'm too strong and powerful. And I love it because I
That's got to be so
I
fun to
don't
just be
always
like, you're
feel
such a
power
little
feel.
bitch.
I don't always feel power
No, but
feel.
it does
That is the
help
thing
you.
I just said.
You don't
I
always feel powerful.
Yes.
Yeah, that's an
I said
appropriate
power
statement.
feel though.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. I was like, what? I was like, what's so
I
wrong with?
always fuck up at least one word when I'm
I was
doing
like,
this
are
shit
you
because I just
feeling
don't.
guilt of having a moment of
No,
vulnerability? I was like, what
no,
are you talking
no.
about?
But I really don't feel powerful most of the time. Most of the time, I'm like, sometimes I have to sit like down and remind myself that I'm the one making myself this busy. So
Yeah,
technically, I am in control and I have a lot of power. Just like with great power comes great
I've had to
responsibility,
have
and
that
it's stressful.
conversation with myself too, where it's like, you're paying these people. You can tell them what to do.
Yeah,
I have that moment where I'm like,
that's
I get
crazy.
nervous. I'm like, oh God, I have to ask if they can do this or that. And then I'm like, wait a minute, that's their
I'm like, wait,
job.
no, I'm the boss.
Yeah, that's their job.
David, put boss right there. And the arrow pointing to me.
Do it.
I own you, motherfucker. I'm just kidding. I love you,
I
David.
own you. That's the real like slippery slope that could happen when you start like
That's
I
the
don't ever
problem
want
because
to
I'm a
be
dom,
I
so I
will
own a
never
lot of
be that
people.
guy.
So
That's more well, that's the thing. Like I'm
not
not a dom.
technically, it's
I have
illegal.
legit I mean like so do you, but I'm saying like when you have an employees, you can't like get to be like that kind of guy. I never want to be that guy
Hmm.
where I'm like, you little
No, you little
motherfucker.
stupid ass bitch.
Yeah.
No, I definitely don't because I already have a hard time. Like, I reach a point where I'm like, okay, if something needs to happen, then I will make it known forcefully. And if it does not get implemented, then it will be more forceful and you're not going to like it. I'm not really three strikes, so I'm kind of like, I just put it out there. I'm not like a bitch, but I'm like, this is what needs to
Yeah.
happen or something is not going
I
to
got to
move.
work
You
on
know what I
that
mean?
myself
But
actually.
my problem has always been that I take far too long to address things that bother me
And
because
then
I'm like,
it's
oh,
bubbling up.
it'll change, and that's how you stay married to someone for like 7 years.
Yeah, I'm
So I'm working on
passive.
it.
I'm too passive sometimes. I'll be like, if the thing I want doesn't get done or something like that, I'll just be like, oh, okay. And then I'm
This
like,
is
wait a
fine.
minute. I have to tell them to do it.
Oh my god!
Otherwise, no one will do it.
Like, was starting a podcast like stressful in and of itself for you? Like what was the process of that setup like for you?
I mean, I've never, I always, I mean, looking back, I guess it was more stressful than I thought it was at the time. Like when I did it, I was like, well, this is the natural progression. This is like what am supposed to be doing or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And I had never had my own show in any capacity, radio or otherwise. I was always on someone else's show,
Mm-hmm.
a part of a group of people or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and I liked that, and I was good at that. And then when I did make my own show, all of a sudden I was like, "What is this going to be like?" And I didn't have me's around. Do you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, I wish there were like 3 of me so that I could like hire myself to be what I used to be for other people. Because I was like, I need a brain like that. I can do that for others. Like, you
You
put
should
me
just do
into.
an episode with yourself. Just film. yourself from two different camera angles.
I
Like you're
mean, that's what
talking
I
back and
do.
forth with yourself.
Oh, like that? I mean, I
Yeah, like actually.
basically do that. I mean, I don't know. But I don't, it's like I didn't know what a show I would do would be. And then to like run my own show, I was like, I know I can do that part of it, but what is this? Like,
Yeah.
and I'm still trying to figure that part of it out really at the end of the day. But, um, yeah, it's not like it's just like a nervous thing to like, I don't want it to go away.
Yeah, yeah,
So
I
it's more
feel the
about that.
same. No, it's become like a comfort thing for me. I'm like, oh, I'm filming a podcast today. Like,
Yeah.
that's cool. I get
It's
to,
not a comfort thing. I'll say that. There are times I'm like, ugh, but it's my job. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
for
Like
sure.
it's,
No, what I actually admire about like your podcast is that primarily like you don't have guests. Almost all of mine are guests, centric. So it's like when I have to do an episode solo, which I've had to do, it's just a nightmare. I'm like,
yeah.
what the fuck do I even? And then it's like, thank you guys so much for listening, but none of you ever do submissions, and you're always like, oh, I'm gonna do a submission. Anchor.fm/TWND for your voice messages, TWNDpodcast at
Oh, they have to do them on
gmail.com for your
Anchor.
email submissions. Yes.
Okay.
Because I'm very small. This is the way it works. But it's not hard. You guys can do it. But then, it's cool because then when I have solo stuff or guests, then I have shit to work with.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Because
I
it's just
mean,
me sitting here, and at that point, it feels like I'm live streaming on webcam or something.
like
And
I
I'm
have to
like,
tape a
not
solo
taking my boobs out. What
episode
do I do?
on Monday, and I'm like, but I over prepared for it. Like it's like if I don't have anything though, I can't just sit down and talk for an hour. And if I did, it wouldn't be enjoyable. I mean, like I could maybe get through it and just like riff for an hour. Like
Yeah.
even like the best people at that don't kill it every time. Do you know what I mean? So
No,
it's
for sure. Like, I think the only reason that my solo episode didn't bomb is that I actually had some email submissions, so it was cool because then I
yeah.
can just rant about. I can rant so long. It's pretty much what all of my cam streams are. It's just me naked ranting about things, like hypothesizing about having pet dragons and shit. We just get stoned and just talk about stupid shit. That's one of my favorite things is like once we reach a point, because we'll just be naked and we're just all smoking weed or just talking and chilling, and I'll just be like, tell me something that you think I don't know, whether it's just like some interesting fact or like whatever it is, and then we'll just have all these different people start telling me things, and we'll see like what's surprising, what's interesting, and then we
This
can
is
just
like
get
in the
off and
chat.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we just talk about stuff, and it's really fun. So it's cool.
That's
Thank you
fun.
guys for watching those.
You should get a chat set up to do it while you. Would you be more comfortable live streaming your podcast than taping it? Because you're like a big editing freak, but you've done so much live.
I've actually thought about, because I do have a trip to Australia coming up, so I've actually thought about just kind of doing a live stream like on my chat, and then just recording it like I normally would a podcast, and
And
that way I
upload
can
it
just
after.
actively interact with people, because then it's kind of just, sorry, I can't take my boobs out for YouTube, but
Right.
you guys get that all the time. Everyone's seen my boobs 1,000 times. No one cares.
Yeah,
No
you
one
can
cares
just
anymore.
watch it and then go look at them afterwards.
Exactly. Or just pull up a picture of my boobs. Just,
Yeah.
like put it over my, just right here, like under my face. You can just look at it.
Heck, get out your phone, watch one on the computer, look at one on the phone or
Yeah,
something.
perfect. Just
Yeah.
one earbud for each. Oh my god. So as far as like comedy and stuff like that, how would you define your brand of comedy?
Oh my god, I don't know. That's not a thing I do. I don't define. Like I just talk and
And I asked
hope
that
people
because
like me.
that is a question someone asked. I just don't remember.
I don't know. I mean, I just don't know how to answer it, and maybe that's why I'm like such an outlier in the industry. Like I'm not.
You're not like a category. You're just like.
Or I guess not. I mean, I don't even know what that category would be, but it's not even like
It's
I said,
entertaining,
it's not
that's
like
what I know.
the Comedy Central people are like up my ass like oh, we got to get this guy out there. People love whatever the hell he is. You know what I mean? They don't ever. I just exist.
Yeah.
Somehow I'm doing it, and the industry is like, huh? Look at that guy.
Yeah,
He's doing it.
You're your own brand.
I
You're
literally
your
am my own
category.
thing. Yeah, I guess
That's awesome.
And it's not like I'm
Well, it's a cool place to
gonzo
be,
or
because then you don't
weird.
feel like you're like, tied into something. Or
No, I
trapped
never
in
would.
one
I'm
box.
an evolving human being,
Exactly.
so it's like
Aren't we all?
whatever I am is what it is. It's not like I'm doing gonzo shit where I'm like smashing watermelons or whatever, or like painting my body or something like that. But it's like it's still just stand up comedy. But it's
Yeah.
not like I don't know how to. I'm not like a storyteller or like a one-liner guy. I don't really know
Yeah.
what the word would be to if someone made me do it.
No, I really personally liked the flow of your set. So if you guys can ever get a chance to go see Josh, you definitely should. It was very good.
Thank you. You know, it was fun.
No, it was
Those
a
were
great
good
time.
shows.
It was cool, and I really the comedy club too was so fun. Like such a fun space and like just the good energy. Like
That club
it
is
was
one
so
of my
cool.
favorite clubs ever. And
Like
that was the first time there. So, I mean,
that,
now it's like become my favorite, one of my favorites.
I love watching comedy specials, and I watched like every single one that I could that I found entertaining during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I had never really watched or gotten into comedy before. My ex was
That's right.
not a
You also
fan.
said that was your first time like seeing it in person.
Yeah,
So like specials to me are like that's like I don't even know how to I was trying to like make a porn analogy but like can't even think of one. But it's like to me it's like there's
especially as like
no
watching mainstream porn and going to a show is like watching an amateur porn
no
because it's still good. I would rather jerk off to
I know
amateur
what you're
porn.
saying, but to me it's more like I don't know, there's just no life behind the eyes of a special like unless you're in
You
the
can't
room.
actually feel the energy, and it's all edited together. Like,
Yeah.
and
And when
it's
you know how the like sausage is made,
yeah,
you go like, well, there's no soul there. It's just like there
yeah.
probably was when this was being
But
created.
still so freaking good. Like, and I loved them, which made me so excited to go to the comedy show.
Oh,
But
sure.
man, fuck, it was so cool. The energy in there was just, it was unreal. Because it was like you watch that shit at home and it's great, and you laugh alone with your dogs or with
No, the energy of a
whoever
live
else is
show is
there. And
totally different.
but when you're there and your laughter is like echoed by everyone else around you, you're just like, oh my god, this is so freaking cool.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
it
I've
was
been
so good.
to tapings of specials where it's felt electric and then you watch it and it's missing. Something's missing from that feeling, you
I
know?
think what's missing is your own energy. Like
Yeah.
that because I feel like when you go to see it, right? For instance, when you go to actually see it rather than being at home on
Hmm.
your TV watching any other thing you could have watched, you're actually a part of it. So you're a part of the experience making it happen. There is no laugh track. You are the laugh track. You're
Right.
part of that energy and that experience. Whether I feel like you're on stage, it must be as well because it's going to be different like watching your own set
Sure.
recorded rather than how you feel when you're in the moment up there. And that's the drug high
Yeah.
that we
No,
keep
that's the drug high
chasing.
for sure. I also like am in this weird camp where I think like the visual special, I'm not as like into those as I am into albums. Like
Is it because you can't see them?
maybe I mean, but
I'm sorry.
I really think it's like for everybody like the immersiveness. Like
Yeah.
your imagination is better. Like if you're just listening to like an album in your headphones or something like that, you're imagining being in that room.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like you're watching some opulent special where there's like a crane shot and there's a fucking it just takes something out of it for me.
Yeah. And there's like, the big aerial shots of the studio where even if you were in that crowd, you would never see those shots. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right,
And
exactly.
it takes you outside of it and it's still good. It
Sure.
still is what
People
it
love
is.
them.
And it's
People
amazing. And
obviously
I will
watch
never
them
not
every
watch
day.
specials.
Yeah, people watch them over and over again millions of times. I'm just saying nothing compares to going to a live show. That's why I
No,
thought it
it
was so
doesn't. If you
interesting. I
have
know you're a big
not,
fan and
if
that's why I was like it's
if you are a
crazy you've never
fan of
gone.
comedy, don't be dumb. Go to one show. Go to one. Actually, I just booked again. I just booked Taylor Thomas tickets. I was so
Oh, I thought
excited.
to get her on the podcast. I was
No,
like, well,
God.
I thought that
Oh
would be
my God.
wild.
I want to be friends with her so bad. I love her so much. She's amazing. I
She's never seen porn.
which is crazy, which makes me laugh. It was just why even more I want to have her on.
She's never
I
once
I
seen
just
porn.
want to talk to her, not even on the podcast. I just want to meet her. But oh my gosh, she was amazing. And I was actually introduced to her through listening to her on another podcast. And I watched her with all my girlfriends. And funnily enough, there are a lot of girls in this industry who are a huge fan of her comedy now.
Sure.
Because despite the differences there is so much to relate to. And people will, it is what it is. Everyone has trauma everywhere, but I will say that this is definitely an industry that attracts those
That's
with
wild. I
some
wonder
sort
if
of trauma.
she even has any inkling. I mean, obviously she
I
knows
think she's
she's tapped
amazing.
into this mental
If you
health.
ever hear this, you're amazing, Taylor, and I want to be your friend.
No, I love Taylor. She's fantastic. She's a talent. But I'm wondering if through doing this like last hour on mental health or
Oh
whatever,
my
I mean, like,
God.
I
Just,
wonder if she realizes that there are people in things like porn which she doesn't you know what I'm saying? Like things
And
that
it's
she
like she
doesn't
even
relate
said, and
to.
what I cool, she's like, there's nothing wrong with it. She's like, I
No,
don't care.
yeah.
One of my favorite things is porn is real. They're really fucking like they are. They're really fucking, and it cracks me up so much.
That's
And I
funny.
see that there's like no hate there. It's just like not her thing. But I'm like, you have no like, girl, you have no idea how much what you say resonates with a lot of us. And
That's what I'm saying. Like to
yeah,
resonate with people that she probably in her eyes thinks she wouldn't relate to in any way.
for sure. And
I mean, not to put that on
what I
her.
realized that a lot of things that come back to, especially with women that I've got to interact with even more intimately, like not even making content off of this podcast, like it's been able to build some really really powerful friendships. And what a lot of that boils back to is the experiences that have nothing to do with porn that we are able to relate to each other, because I don't do mainstream boy girl, I don't do anal, I don't do half the shit that my friends do in porn. I can't even relate to them necessarily on a work level, other
Mm,
than like the understanding of, where we stand in society and things like that. But at the end of the day, everything that we boil down to, that we kind of build that friendship on, is a lot of very shared trauma.
sure.
Like surprisingly shared.
Well, there's a lot of, I mean, the
But
humanity of
differences in
it.
trauma as well. But at the end of
Sure.
the day.
But that is, those traumas could or very well might not have anything to do with porn in any way, but
Oh God,
probably
no.
like it's so hinky or like you start to probably like lump everything in, or people on the outside maybe do, because it is fucking. And
It
people think
is.
of fucking as like being this completely intimate thing
Yeah,
as
and let me
opposed
tell
to,
you, there's a lot of fucking that ain't intimate.
right. I mean, that's in real life too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, even lately, I've just been feeling like this wild emptiness in terms of like just one night stands and things like that.
Yeah.
Just insanely empty. And to the point where I'm like, it wasn't even fun. Do you know what I mean? And I could imagine a person in porn letting fucking get to that level. But then you meet ones that are like, have such the love of the game where you're like, well, at least, like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how they would be in their personal life
Yeah.
having sex, but it's like the love of
But
the game is so strong. You're like,
of
oh my
course,
God,
yeah,
I
like
don't,
some people are just in it to win it. And let me
yeah.
tell you, like what I do now, and the type of content that I make and actually choose to do now, is like the content that I want to be making.
Yeah.
And so I am in it. Like it is so fun. I've been filming some fun stuff lately. But it's like I am definitely a person who had a lot of sex that was like so bad to the point that I pretty much disassociated from sex
Hmm.
being in this industry. And that had nothing to do with the industry. All of that bad shit was outside of the industry.
Right.
But then it reached the point that, well, was something like the things that happened to me before even webcamming. By the time I got to webcamming, I was at a point that I was like, I don't care. I don't care. I was way broken before I got into the industry. And if anything, now that I'm out of that bad situation, the industry has given me such a new perspective on life, and it has afforded me so many opportunities, even along the way of that huge period of garbage, and set me up to be in a position to actually leave that bad
Hmm.
situation. So, at the end of the day, there are some people, who may come into this industry and then become traumatized from it. But in a lot of instances, and the more and more that I talk to people, even outside of the industry, there are so many more people, women, even men, who are traumatized in one way or another
Yeah.
before they ever reach adulthood. And that is why so many of us are the way we are. And that's why I have a very hard time like hating anyone, because I'm like, there's a reason that you are the way that you are.
Yeah.
And it's like you could choose to change that, but I see clearly that there are instances from your life that are not going to allow you to reach that point right now.
Right.
But at that point, what else do you do?
I've had that sort of perspective shift as well, where it's like, I don't blame people for the way that they are anymore. It's like you said, you can choose to change that. And that just is like a level of, and it's like almost sad when somebody doesn't even realize that they are so fucked up from whatever,
Yeah.
and like they're walking around just acting like an asshole all day,
Mm-hmm.
and they're yelling at people and they're just spouting off nonsense. That type of person, like, I started feeling bad for them as opposed to going like, fuck that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
No, yeah.
it's like a lack of evolution or a
Yeah.
lack of like some sort of self-awareness, and you're like, oh, they're in to kind of put it bluntly, it's like, oh, they're just dumb.
Yeah. No,
They're
it was
just dumb
like
people.
people attributing attributing
I don't even hear you mess these words up.
I hear myself to work. Attributing
Yeah.
all of our issues to the industry that we're in is fucking stupid.
No, that's like
and but that's one of the reasons I didn't do therapy for so long. But luckily I found someone during, all this last couple of years who was the first one to not think anything that was going on had anything to do with my job. We talked about the job, we discussed the stresses of the job, how the job occurred, all these things.
I
But
barely talk about my job to my therapist.
It was never seen from a point of that, but I do because I'm so close to it, because I'm so in it all the time.
Well, that's the thing. I just say
things
maybe I should be. This is my question for you. Maybe I should be talking about it because, like,
I would recommend it.
I go, yeah, I'm a comedian, but I don't really get into the weeds of it because I feel like that part of my life is going so good that the other part I need to concentrate on. So I don't even tell her the details of that, and then also like to try and explain some of this shit, and maybe, I mean, I'm sure you come across this. I don't know why I was like, maybe you have to deal with this too. But to try and explain this fucking life to people sometimes, it's like...
It took her a minute. It wasn't like, oh, I understand. It was that she was curious enough to ask the right questions to get me to talk about it in a way that was productive, if that makes sense. So it's like,
well, that's good. That's good. Yeah. I don't want to talk about it in a I don't want to explain the world of my world to this woman.
Yeah, exactly. I mean? But at the same point, I kind of felt like, for me, I felt the same way. Because I'm like, well, she's not going to understand, and it's going to be too much and all this. But then I think one of the things that happened is when I started the podcast and I was becoming so open about talking about this job and all the stuff that goes behind it with other people, I was like, if I'm doing that with them, I should definitely be doing that with her. And once I started doing that, I just made so many more realizations about like my attachment to the job, how that reflected negatively like on myself in my own eyes, like all the different attachments that I had to it because of the things that brought me here. And once I was able to kind of let go of a lot of kind of the panic that I had alongside of the job and distance myself from that disassociation, I was like, holy shit, I can see this in a whole new light, and I can actually make this job something that is meaningful to me instead of something that I just do.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love what I do. So that's like, I feel like when I bring that up to this therapist or whatever, I'm like, yeah, that's the fine part.
But I think it's also good to talk about things that
sure,
make
you're
you
right.
happy as well.
No, yeah, you're right. And then because I have these sessions, and then I'm almost like I'm ending them, and I'm going like, why am I doing this again? And I remember why, but I'm like, but all she's telling you is what I've been telling myself. I just need somebody. But it's helping. It's like weird.
Yeah, no, it's
like there's no surprises to these sessions at all. Do you know what I mean? And it's like I hear things that I berate and yell at myself for, but meanwhile she's like, don't do those. Don't berate yourself. Don't yell at yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. And you're like, yeah, but like I'm just doing what you're doing to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think
it's very strange. It's a new thing for me, and it's been very strange, and I'm like gonna stick with it just to see it through.
No, for sure. Like, and I think everybody just approaches things differently in the way that they discuss, or even the advice that they give, or the exercises that they put you through as well. And then everybody has different instances.
Oh, you want to know my exercises that I haven't been doing? I'll tell you my exercises. I had to write them down.
I told her I was too busy for exercises, and I did the podcast instead.
I did. Well, no, I have like a whole week to do them. She was like, notice sounds. I'm like, I notice sounds too often. That drives me insane. Like, I hear the jackhammer outside. I hear the fucking, my roommate making coffee bothers me. Like the slamming of doors.
That's why she's telling you to notice them, because it's pointing out things that bother you unnecessarily, and then it will make you think about why those.
Maybe,
things bother
but
you.
I don't know if she wants me to notice the annoying sounds. she's like,
But
no,
those,
and then,
but
so
for
I don't know what
sounds,
that's
isn't
gonna
that
do.
like what stands out if you're just
Yeah,
listening?
I'm gonna end up just bitching about the sounds to her, I think. And then
You're
she
like,
said,
bitch, these birds, this fucking jackhammers.
she was like, identify moments that you're not kind to yourself. And so far, I don't think I've had any.
What do you find that you're like most self-deprecating about?
I feel like being self-deprecating is just keeping yourself in check. Like, I never even
Hmm.
found that to be like a problem. And in fact, it's been my bread and butter. Like, if you want to ask what type of comedy I do, it's mostly self-deprecating. I mean, at the end of the day.
That's me
So,
too.
I mean,
Well, I don't do comedy, but in the other stuff, self-deprecating. I,
right.
I feel the same way, and I talked to her about this as well, and it was like I was like, I reach a point that for me, and it's like maybe you feel this too because you're in entertainment, right? So you have
Hmm.
a fan base. So you have people who pay money to come see you perform. You have people who listen to your show and tune in regularly. You get paid with ad revenue. Like that's you. So when you basically attribute all of that to yourself, it's so easy if you just give yourself praise all the time as much as those fans give
Yeah,
you
no,
to
they're,
get such a massive fucking head that you could just become a piece of shit.
yeah.
I've
And
seen it happen
also,
to so many people,
if
and
you're
for
going to
me,
listen to these fucking, if you're going to listen to if they say like, oh, one troll, don't listen to that. You can't listen to the negative ones. Well, I'm not going to listen to the positive ones either. Like if you're saying that like the whole school of thought is like you can't listen to the haters or whatever. If you're not going to listen to them, why are you going to listen to the ones that are praising you? It's the same thing. You know what I
yeah,
mean? They're just different edges of the sword. It's the
yeah,
same thing. Like you can't listen to either of you. It's all noise, and you just have to keep doing what you do and like
yeah.
hope it
You
resonates
just
with
have to
people.
keep that's at the end of the day.
You know,
I
people
think
want to
that's
be
what we're
nice.
all
It's
doing.
nice, but like
Well,
it's
oof,
also like
sorry.
it's like falling in love with a woman for me, and maybe this is like the root of what I need to figure out. Like when I have found myself to be like in love, and a girl loves me back, that's when I start to not really like her anymore. Because I'm like, oh my god, this girl like is obsessed with me. Like, man, she doesn't have a lot going on if she's like so into me. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I get like,
Oh, yes. I absolutely understand.
yeah. So it's like,
Completely.
yeah. So it's like a thing with an audience
Like,
too. Sometimes
but
you have to
I'm a
like,
massive piece of shit.
yeah.
If
Sometimes I'm like,
this
well, these
person
people. What
likes
are
a
the?
massive piece of shit,
Yeah.
there must be something wrong with them.
Right.
So I should definitely drive them out of my life.
Yes. Or you just start. I just start to not even find myself to be attracted to them anymore. It's so weird, and I don't have that with an audience necessarily. Like, I'm thankful for anybody who enjoys what I do, and but I'm not gonna sit there and like let some dude like suck my dick over my comedy and be like you're the greatest and blah, because I'm gonna be like, I don't want to hear, like I don't want
I
to hear that, and
think
I don't want to hear somebody to be like, you suck, you're the worst. I'm like, I know I don't suck. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
think it's just
you
like
might not like me, but I know I don't. You know what I mean?
I get the same. I don't like or I guess I shouldn't say I don't like. I'm very uncomfortable with like the fan girl treatment, if that makes sense. Like I'm just okay, so I know that I take the sexy pictures and I like do the things with the spit and stuff, but I'm
The
so
things with
fucking
the spit.
I'm so fucking awkward. Like it's so weird to me that my saliva is like Peter Parker's, oh, it's insane. But like I'm so fucking awkward and I'm just such a normal person and I'm so not used to actual public attention, only internet attention. So anytime I meet someone and whether it's like another performer, like maybe someone who's watched it for a long time, we get to work together, or like whether it is a fan, I am so much more comfortable with someone approaching me just like, I really like what you do. You're hot. Let's take a picture or whatever. That is so much easier to me than like, oh my god, I've seen all of your scenes. I've been doing this and I'm hyper fucking ventilating. Like I'm like, calm down. I don't know CPR. I should, but I don't. Like I can't fix you. Like calm down because it's making me so uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's like
Like it's not like I would love for you to appreciate what I do and to think I'm hot. That's cool. That's fun. But treat me like a normal person because I am just a normal fucking person.
yeah, that happens when people are drunk. I mean, like I'm on a stage in front of people, and that makes it easier to talk to people than it does when like I'm out of context, where it's like I'm at a bar or something and people come up to you then at the bar where they're like, hey, but that's been happening enough where it's like that gets kind of normal too, or whatever, and so that's fine. But it's like last night I saw Alex Smith, who used to be a quarterback in the NFL. He's sitting next to me at dinner, like at another table, and all I said to him was like, hey man, loved watching you play, or something like that. Left it at that. That was it. But like, I could have easily been such a like, remember with the 49ers when you could bother a person. And I'm not saying that I get bothered, but like it does get crazy when people are just like over and over again saying not even new compliments or just repeating the same compliments. It just makes me uncomfortable too, or to the point where I'm like, okay, like I got to get away from this person. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
at
Like,
some point I'm just like, do I need to fart in front of you to prove that I'm real? Like, what do we
not
need
even
to
that. It's
do?
like I just like
Because
you've told thank you. You've said how many times can I say thank you?
yeah, exactly. Like
I
and it's
can't come.
not, and it's like, and it does, and I know that it probably sounds so bad, but it doesn't come from a point of like, oh, I don't appreciate
No,
the
I
fans. It's
appreciate
that
it.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that, but I need you to also respect the fact that I'm so fucking awkward, and please don't frighten me.
Right. It gets
I'm like a
weird. Yeah, that's
stray
all.
dog that's like in an alley and you're coaxing it with food. You don't run at it and be like, "Let me pet you." It's like, ah, and that's me. So like, calm down, please.
Yeah,
If
I
you
don't mind
see
people
me,
like approaching
it's
me and stuff
cool.
like that, but some people get too familiar. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
just because I
Sometimes.
was chill, dude, doesn't mean,
Fuck. Okay, so they're opening up AVN again.
Yeah, are you excited?
I had a moment where I was talking about this on another episode because I was like, it's so fucking cool. I don't think AVN is ever coming back because it was like failing for a while
Oh
and it got
yeah.
really shitty. And it's so cool that it's all going digital. And then I got an email that it's coming back for 2023. And I had like all these flashbacks of all these dudes who just think, I've seen you naked before. What if I just grab your crotch?
That's
And
what
the
I'm s-
amount
I
of
mean,
men
obviously
whose
not to
arms I've
your
had to
level.
grab. And then I had another moment and I was like, I'm buff now.
Oh
They
yeah.
won't fuck with me. I'll just be like, whoa. And then we'll take a picture and it'll be fine. And they won't fucking, they'll hover hand. Just like the good old days.
Yeah, I mean it's not the same obviously as like being sexually assaulted by people who think that they but it's like
It's kind of the
people just
same.
think that they can shit on like they'll shit on you the way like a friend of mine shat on me that I've known for years of my
Mm-hmm.
life. Like I'll have on my podcast, they can shit on me, and then they'll be like, oh, and they'll like do it in a way where you're like, you're not my friend, man. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like, what's going on here? And it's like, then they're like, well, I like you, I'm a fan. Then you feel bad. You're like, oh, okay, you're just trying to like be in on it. That's cool, but
Yeah.
also like, know the difference. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like,
That's true. Oh my god. I just realized I've been your friend for a couple years.
yeah.
When
Wait,
did the
what?
last two years go?
I don't know. I mean,
Holy shit, it's 2022.
I literally was just thinking about this 2 years ago on this day. I performed on the same stage I'm going to perform last night, and it was like right before the world shut down. Or no, actually, it wasn't on this exact day. It was like 10 days prior, the
Yeah.
16th or something like that. It was right before St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, I was supposed to have a flight out to Australia. That never
Wild.
happened.
And here we are, 2 years
That's
later,
crazy.
catching up.
Yeah.
I feel so much older.
I feel wiser.
I don't feel wiser. I feel like I feel like it was like I was in a coma.
I feel like for 2020 I feel like I started realizing things once I stopped drinking, which has been about a year and a half
Mm.
now. So, but that first bit was a blur.
Yeah.
That was not okay.
How long have you quit drinking?
Yeah, about a year.
About a year,
I
right?
think about a year and a half
Wow.
now.
Okay, I thought it was like a long. I thought you were sober for like a
No, year and
long,
a
long
half.
time.
No. I yeah, I've talked about this on here because I definitely was drinking
Oh, I
at a
drank
time that
again.
people did not even know I was drinking on cam, so it was kind of like, and my ex was also an alcoholic, so
Mm.
that didn't help. But yeah, it got to a point that I hated everything enough that I couldn't even get on cam unless I was drinking. So I would
Wow.
hide drinks and yeah. So it was not a good place.
Why
And
wouldn't you
so
just drink on cam? You're not allowed to, or people won't like that, or what made you think that you had
uh
to hide it? Was it more fun to hide it?
so sometimes only my ex was allowed to drink and he
Oh,
would
he made
watch my
like a rule.
streams and so I was allowed to drink, so I would sneak drinks. Yeah,
Oh.
because it was very difficult to deal with him while being sober.
God, that's wild.
So, yeah. And so, no alcohol is super cool. I lost a bunch of weight and I started working out instead. And it's been cool. And then I smoke weed, which is weed
That's
is always
cool.
fucking cool. I love weed so much.
I am not
How
sober in any capacity.
no, but that's cool. There's nothing wrong
I
with
think,
that.
I mean, I kind of quit, I self-imposed, like, quit booze
Yeah.
and just drink beer, really,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's
which has
like
made me fat.
I'm all this. I wish, like, and actually probably at the point now, like, because I feel mentally well for like the first time in my adult
Right.
life. So I feel like now I could drink, but I feel so good not
Yeah, like,
drinking
why
that I'm
would you
kind of
want
like, why
to?
would I go back to drinking
No,
when
that
weed
makes sense.
exists and it's legal?
Yeah,
you
same.
know? But
I smoke weed
yeah,
all the time
yeah, I like it.
to the point where I admitted that to my therapist, and she was like, well, that's fine. She's
And
like,
what
how does it help you? I'm like, I don't know. It tears my ego down. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I normally did my therapy sessions like just sober, stone, because I wanted to actually like fully invest. But then one time, like I was not feeling good, and I smoked before.
Sometimes I need to
I
smoke.
smoked during, and I told her, and she's like, "It's okay if it helps you calm down." She's like, "You just got to get through this." And I was
Yeah,
like,
sometimes I need
"Okay."
to just get high to like talk to that lady.
Yeah. Well, I get like very bad overthinking, racy brain. I'm just like always analyzing every situation. I think I told you like before I came on your podcast. I spent that whole night
Oh
before. I'm
yeah.
like, I was telling myself, I was like, it's gonna be totally fucking chill. Like, what are you worrying about? And then on the other hand, the other side of my head was like, you're gonna fuck it up. You're gonna say something fucking stupid. He's never gonna talk to you again. Like, he's gonna be like, this was a fucking waste of time. It's never gonna air, and you're gonna totally fuck it up. And here's everything that could happen. And I did not get to sleep until like 3 o'clock in the morning. I was like, what do I do?
I get that. I mean, I get that way before I tape my own show. Like, not that I'm gonna like. I mean, it has to air, so it's like
Yeah.
it's never like that. It's just like I don't know what the anxiety is. I've been having terrible sleep anxiety, but like last night I woke up. I went to sleep like pretty early for Vegas, like
Mm-hmm.
1:30, 2 o'clock, and I woke up at 5 this morning, and
Oh
I've
my
just been
god.
up. So I don't know
I
why.
sometimes get like that when I travel.
Yeah, I guess it's
Like,
travel. I
especially when
mean,
it's hotel and it's a short trip, I kind of feel like my body is just like, it's not my bed. I'm not used to it
I
yet.
love hotels. I love them. I love being in a strange. I
I
love
used to love
sleeping so deep
hotels.
where you wake up and you're like, I don't even remember what city I'm in, let alone what hotel I'm in or what
I
room
know
I'm in.
exactly.
That's the best feeling in the world.
Oh
And
my
I'm
god.
chasing that constantly.
I freaking, let me tell you, when I was with my ex, I got, so the first time that I got to fly by myself to LA, thank you, Penthouse. I, it was magical. And it was an okay hotel. Love you, Penthouse. And oh my God, it was amazing. I was like, for the first time in years, I'm in a room alone by myself. No one is drunk and yelling at me. No one is flailing in their sleep. No one's throwing up in the bathroom. I can watch whatever I want on TV. And it was amazing. I would sleep so deep,
What a prison
so
you lived
sound.
in.
Oh, and it was amazing. And then I started chasing that, and I was like, "Who can I shoot for next, Playboy? Can I get away again?" Like,
That's funny.
and it was so fun. It was amazing. I
Yeah,
loved
that's what
it.
comedy is. Every
It was
week I
really
was
cool.
like, oh, I get to go to a hotel where I don't have to like clean up after
Oh my God,
myself.
it
I
was
can
so good.
just
People clean your room. I was like, "What the fuck is
fresh towels every day. I love hotels. People are like, "Oh, I got an Airbnb." I'm like, "Why?"
this?"
I hate Airbnb. Unless you're like with
I only
like
like
20
Airbnb if
people.
I'm there for like a week or something, because at that point I like to like make my own food and just have room to like spread out. I feel like if it's like more than like 4 days, I'm like, oh my God, it's the same room that I'm stuck in. And
I
I
don't
don't
even
I don't
care.
like
I'm
that
stuck in the
feeling.
same room in my own apartment most of the time. I live in one room anyways.
Yeah. Well, I guess yeah, that works.
I just live like a hermit.
I feel like I have 3 dogs as well who are
Mm.
not here right now. Thank God. But I feel like I would kill myself if I had to live in one room with them.
Oh, I get that. Yeah.
I love them so much, but dear fucking Lord, they would just kill each other first. It would be fine. I wouldn't even have to kill myself. They would all murder each other. They wouldn't
That's what I'm
allow
working
for
on
it.
with my therapist is to go out into the other rooms of your house or your apartment.
Oh my God. I don't know. How what made you start therapy? Was it like the
I'm
pandemic?
not a productive human being. I'm like I
Did you start
work.
therapy before you got a doctor?
No.
No?
Same time. I still don't have a doctor technically.
Oh.
That was part of the, she's helping me with that as well.
Oh, good.
Or just I don't know what it is about, I have like an immense fear of doctors.
I don't
And
have a
so
doctor either if it makes you feel any
I
better.
just, I can't, I don't trust them. I have like, I don't know what it is, but I just have
Yeah.
this like thing with doctors. And so I'm trying
It's
to get
because
over
you've
that.
seen too many pornos and the doctor ends up fucking the patient.
I mean, I wish doctors were that cool, but in my case, they're always just giving me shit news. You know?
Yeah, for
They're
sure.
always just telling me something awful that's going to happen to me. And I'm like, oh, God, get me out of here.
I can't fucking deal with this anymore.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Well, what are your dates coming up? Because everybody listens everywhere,
Oh,
and
boy.
if you guys have never been to a comedy show, or even if you have, definitely go see him if he's in your area.
I have a bunch that I haven't gotten like confirmed yet, but I also have at least 4 on sale right now. I'm going to be in Indianapolis May 19th.
Indianapolis.
I'm going to be in Philadelphia on June 2nd. I can't wait for that. I'm going to be in Chicago in August. I don't know the dates. It's 5 shows though at Zany's. I think the 11th through the 13th or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be in San Diego sooner than that. I'm going to be in
Love San
July in San Diego at a brand new comedy club that they just opened up, or
Oh,
is
cool.
just open. I don't even know if it's open yet, but
Will be.
it'll be open by the time I'm there in
That's
July.
awesome.
So
Hell yeah. That's so cool.
yeah,
Hell yeah.
I'm excited. And then they're all for sale on my Instagram at Josh_Potter.
Fuck yes. All right.
Hell yeah.
Thank you for joining me. I really
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
This was super fun.
I'm glad you had me. I'm
Thank
glad
you
I got
guys
to
for
do it.
listening. It was super cool. Thanks for coming back. I appreciate it. As always, leave a like, subscribe. That'd be really cool. Leave a comment below. Help the algorithm. And do you have any final words?
Thanks for having me.
See you next week.